India's triumph. More than a win, a global statement in the vast, ever-shifting arena of global geopolitics, sport, technology, military and diplomacy. Victories are often seen as short-term gains, momentary flashes in time that boost morale and stir emotion. But every so often a nation achieves something that resonates far beyond the surface, a moment so powerful that it becomes a statement to the world. India's recent triumph is exactly that kind of moment. This is not merely about a military maneuver, a sports match, or a technological milestone. It is about India's arrival, not as a future superpower or a rising voice, but as a present-day reality commanding attention, influence and respect. This victory, however defined in specific terms, is the manifestation of something far more profound: perseverance, discipline and national pride. The very essence of India's spirit, perseverance. The soul of a nation. Perseverance has long been the beating heart of India's journey. From the shadows of colonialism to the sunlit path of sovereignty, India has walked a road filled with adversity and uncertainty. After gaining independence in 1947, the country inherited a fragmented economy, weak infrastructure, and widespread poverty. Many around the world doubted India's ability to survive, let alone succeed. But through every storm, India chose to press forward. Each generation took the baton of progress forward. It wasn't always dramatic. It was often slow, painful and incremental. The Green Revolution in the 1960s didn't make global headlines every day, but it saved millions from hunger. The IT boom of the 1990s didn't shake empires overnight, but it quietly laid the foundation for a tech-savvy, globally competitive economy. The Make in India initiative, the Digital India campaign and the rapid growth of startups in the 2010s and 2020s were not mere policy lines. They were signs of a country that refused to give up. Perseverance was also evident in India's response to global challenges. During the COVID-19 pandemic, India not only managed to produce its own vaccines but became the pharmacy of the world, supplying millions of doses to nations in need. That's not just resilience. It's humanitarian leadership. Whether it is space exploration, like Chandrayaan-3's historic lunar landing, or diplomatic negotiations on the world stage, India has earned its place not through entitlement, but through relentless pursuit of progress, despite every conceivable challenge. The engine of achievement, discipline, is what transforms dreams into reality. In India's case, it's the force that has taken it from being dismissed as third world to becoming the fifth largest economy and an emerging tech powerhouse. Look at India's armed forces, professional, strategic and courageous. In moments of conflict or crisis, whether it be tensions on the border or international pressure, the Indian military has responded with calm strength, not with rash aggression, but with controlled precision. This is discipline in its most vital form. The same principle applies to India's athletes, many of whom train under tough conditions, far from the limelight or luxury. From cricket to wrestling, badminton to boxing, these sportsmen and women embody focus and relentless training, often without the support systems Western athletes take for granted. Yet, they succeed. Why? Discipline. India's scientists and engineers have also shown this in remarkable ways. Take ISRO, Indian Space Research Organisation, which operates on a budget far smaller than NASA or ESA but consistently delivers world-class results. Missions like Mangalyaan and Chandrayaan are not just technological feats, they are symbols of what can be achieved with less, when driven by more. So, in classrooms across the country, millions of students wake up before dawn to study, driven by a vision to improve their lives and contribute to the nation. In rural clinics, doctors serve tirelessly, often with minimal infrastructure, yet maximum resolve, from government officials enacting policy reforms to the frontline workers battling climate change. It is discipline that connects all their efforts. India's development model has not been about quick fixes or shortcuts. It has been a story of long-term vision, backed by consistent, disciplined execution. National pride. The heartbeat of progress if perseverance is the soul and discipline is the engine. National pride is the heartbeat of India's rise. It is a pride not built on arrogance, but on heritage, diversity, and a belief in collective potential. India is a country of many faiths, hundreds of languages, and countless customs. Yet despite the complexity, and at times chaos, it thrives. This is because the average Indian carries within them a deep love for the nation. Whether it's a farmer in Punjab, a tech worker in Bengaluru, a fisherman in Kerala, or a tribal leader in the northeast, each feels a connection to the land, its history, and its promise. National pride is evident when the tricolour is hoisted abroad and tears fill the eyes of expatriates. It's seen when Indian students top international academic competitions, or when Indian origin CEOs lead global corporations like Google, Microsoft, Adobe, and IBM. Each of these achievements becomes a moment of collective celebration, not individual fame, and that pride has never been more important than now. In a time when global narratives are often dominated by Western voices, India speaks not in echoes but in its own voice, firm, rooted, and confident. Whether it is standing strong on climate commitments, advocating for a multipolar world, or taking bold stances at the United Nations, India carries the pride of a civilization that has contributed immensely to the world. In mathematics, medicine, spirituality, literature, and democracy. A statement heard around the world, so what does this a triumph truly mean? Why does it matter beyond India's borders? Because it's a paradigm shift. It signals that the world is no longer unipolar or bipolar, it's multipolar. Power is no longer defined solely by military might, but by ideas, innovation, and inclusive growth. India's statement is clear: we are here, we are capable, and we are leading. To some nations, particularly those used to setting global agendas, this can be unsettling. America, for example, has long been the self-declared torchbearer of democracy and development. But India's ascent challenges that monopoly, not by imitation, but by offering an alternative model, a democracy deeply rooted in tradition, yet boldly embracing modernity. India's recent actions and victories have shown that it doesn't need to be lectured on values. It has its own set, drawn from a 5,000-year-old civilization that believed in Vasudeva Kutumbakam. The world is one family. And when India speaks of peace, equality, or justice, it does so not for applause, but because those values are embedded in its DNA. That is why the world watches India now. Not out of curiosity, but out of necessity. Because in a century that will be shaped by Asia, India is the heartbeat. More than a moment, a movement. The beauty of this triumph is that it doesn't belong to just one event or one sector. It's part of a larger movement, a national awakening that transcends politics, class, caste, and region. Young Indians are more connected than ever before. They are not just consumers of global trends, they are creators. Indian apps, films, art, and music are gaining international acclaim. The Indian diaspora, now over 30 million strong, are not just ambassadors of culture, but shapers of policy, business, and technology abroad. At home, the rise of women in leadership roles, the digital empowerment of rural areas, and the growing emphasis on sustainability all point to a society that is reimagining itself. One that honours the past while fearlessly building the future. Conclusion: a message that echoes India's recent triumph is not the final chapter, it's a turning point. It tells the world that this nation of ancient rivers, mighty Himalayas, diverse tongues, and undying spirit is not waiting for validation. It is asserting its place with quiet confidence and unshakable clarity. So yes, it's more than a win. It's a statement. A statement of perseverance, that India can rise no matter the setbacks. A statement of discipline, that every goal can be achieved with focus and resolve. And most of all, a statement of national pride, that India belongs not just on the map but at the head of the table. The world is watching. And India is just getting started. India's leadership moment, from rising power to global leader in a world where power dynamics are constantly shifting. Some nations rise quietly while others rise with the force of history behind them. India is now demonstrating that its growth is not a passing trend, but a transformational shift in global balance. The world once watched India as a developing country finding its footing. Today, it watches a confident, assertive, and visionary nation stepping into the role of a global leader. This moment in India's story isn't just about economic stats or geopolitical moves. It's about leadership in all forms: military strength, economic resilience, diplomatic influence, cultural presence, and moral clarity. It's about 1 billion-plus people, a rich civilization, and a democratic ethos turning potential into power. Military power, Strategic, modern and assertive India's growing military strength is a crucial pillar of its global influence. But what makes India's military power unique is not just its size, it's the strategic vision and restraint with which it is exercised. With one of the world's largest armed forces and nuclear capabilities, India has proven that it can defend its sovereignty against any threat. But unlike some global powers that project force indiscriminately, India chooses its moments with precision. From surgical strikes across borders to enhancing defence partnerships with countries like France, the US, Israel and Australia, India is showing that it doesn't just react, it leads, please. Moreover, India's investments in indigenous defence manufacturing through initiatives like Make in India are changing the game. By developing cutting-edge technologies like the Tejas fighter jet, India's Vikrant aircraft carrier and BrahMos missile systems, India is proving that it can innovate militarily, not just import. In addition, India plays a leading role in peacekeeping missions, contributing more personnel to UN peacekeeping operations than any other country. This reflects a nation that understands the true meaning of military strength, not just domination, but responsibility. Economic power. Resilient, inclusive and ambitious India's economic rise has been nothing short of remarkable. As the fifth largest economy in the world, and projected to be among the top 3 within the next decade, India's economic trajectory reflects deep structural transformation. What makes India's economic rise distinct is its scale and inclusivity. With a population of over 1.4 billion, India has built an economy that balances high-growth urban sectors like IT, fintech and telecommunications with rural development, digital access and welfare reform. India is home to one of the most vibrant startup ecosystems in the world, with over 100 unicorns and thousands of young entrepreneurs redefining the global innovation map. Companies in India are not only serving domestic needs but also setting global standards in AI, software development, pharmaceuticals and green energy. Through schemes like Digital India and Jan Dhan Jan Yojana, the government has brought millions of citizens into the formal economy. Financial inclusion, biometric-based identification systems, ODA, and UP Unified Payments Interface have revolutionized digital transactions, making India a pioneer in fintech adoption. Moreover, India has become a critical player in global supply chains. As nations diversify away from China, India is stepping in as a preferred partner for investment, manufacturing and trade. In the post-COVID world, India's economy rebounded faster than many Western nations. Its focus on self-reliance, Atmanirbhar Bharat, is not isolationist but strategically interdependent, leveraging global partnerships while building internal capacity. Diplomatic power. Voice of the Global South, architect of the future India's diplomatic clout is reaching new heights. It is no longer a passive participant at global summits, it is shaping the outcomes. In multilateral platforms like the G20, BRICS, Quad and the UN, India has positioned itself as a bridge builder, a negotiator and a visionary voice. As the G20 president in 2023, India led with a theme of One Earth, One Family, One Future, echoing its ancient civilizational values while focusing on pressing global issues like climate change, digital equity and sustainable development. India's neighbourhood, first policy, Act East policy, and increasing engagement in Africa and Latin America are part of a broader diplomatic doctrine that sees India as a leader of the Global South. It represents the aspirations of developing countries, advocating for reform in global institutions like the UN Security Council, IMF and WTO to make them more just and representative. India has also deepened strategic partnerships with Western powers while maintaining strong ties with nations like Russia and Iran, demonstrating a rare ability to balance relationships in a polarized world. When global crises erupt, be it the Russia-Ukraine war, the energy crisis, or the COVID-19 pandemic, India has consistently advocated for peace, stability and dialogue. It has delivered humanitarian aid, vaccines and food security assistance to dozens of countries, becoming not just a regional leader but a global first responder. Cultural and moral power. A civilizational superpower, India's global leadership is not limited to economics and politics. It's cultural and moral. rooted in millennia of philosophy, pluralism and humanity. Yoga, Ayurveda, Indian cinema, cuisine and festivals are now global phenomena. But more than that, India exports values, non-violence, inclusiveness, family, tolerance and democracy. In a world increasingly divided by ideology and identity, India offers a model of coexistence, where hundreds of languages, dozens of religions, and countless traditions thrive side by side. India's democratic model, though noisy and imperfect, is an inspiration for many. Its ability to hold free and fair elections, accommodate dissent, and transition power peacefully stands in contrast to authoritarian regimes around the world. Moreover, India's global leadership is moral. It speaks for those without a voice. Whether standing up for Palestinian rights, offering refugee support, or challenging unfair trade barriers, India leads not from a position of power alone, but from a position of principled conviction. The world is no longer watching India rise. It's watching India lead. There was a time when India was seen as a sleeping giant. Then came the emerging market era, where India was watched with interest but treated as a work in progress. Now that narrative is gone. India is no longer just rising, it is leading. It is setting agendas, influencing decisions, and changing the vocabulary of global discussions. From the Arctic Council to the African Union, from Silicon Valley to the Suez Canal, India is shaping the world's future. Whether it's the way the world manages health crises, transitions to clean energy, or governs AI and digital tech, India's voice matters. And more importantly, it is a voice that cannot be ignored. Conclusion: a nation that leads with purpose. India's global leadership is not a product of conquest, but of conviction. It does not seek to dominate, but to co-create a world that is fairer, greener, and more humane. It leads not by shouting the loudest, but by acting with courage, clarity, and consistency. This moment, this triumph, is a symbol of that evolution. It reflects a nation that has moved beyond its colonial past and developmental struggles. A nation that commands respect not only for what it has achieved, but for how it has achieved it. India leads today not because the world allowed it, but because India earned it. The power of 1.4 billion, unity, identity, and India's unstoppable future. Behind every great national achievement lies something greater than infrastructure, leadership, or policy. It's people. In India's case, that means 1.4 billion citizens, each carrying their own unique history, struggle, and aspiration, yet united by a common purpose. Behind India's rise, its growing economic clout, diplomatic influence, and technological strides, is a population that is not only large, but also resilient, diverse, and deeply rooted in a shared identity. India's recent successes on the world stage, whether in space exploration, global diplomacy, military readiness, or entrepreneurial innovation, are not isolated events. They are the result of a collective national spirit, a groundswell of belief that transcends geography, language, religion, and class. It's this unifying belief in the nation, its heritage, and its destiny that powers India forward. Unity and diversity. India's core strength. India is one of the most diverse countries in the world, home to over 2,000 ethnic groups, 22 official languages, and a multitude of religious and philosophical traditions. Yet, despite this complexity, or perhaps because of it, India functions as one nation. Its unity is not uniformity, it is harmony and multiplicity. This unity is not accidental. It is built on centuries of shared history, struggle, and sacrifice. From the freedom movement that saw Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, Christians, Dalits, and tribal communities join hands, to the modern-day vision of inclusive development. The people of India have repeatedly shown their ability to stand together in the face of adversity. During times of crisis, be it natural disasters, wars, or the COVID-19 pandemic, this spirit of solidarity is unmistakable. Across states, communities mobilize to help one another. NGOs emerge from every corner, and ordinary citizens go beyond personal interest to contribute to the national cause. This isn't just patriotism. It's active civic engagement, rooted in the idea that the strength of the nation lies in each individual's contribution. A people rooted in culture and civilization. India's unity is not just political, it's civilizational. The people of India carry within them the legacy of a culture that stretches back over 5,000 years. This shared heritage binds them together in profound ways. From the Vedas to the Constitution, from Mahatma Gandhi's non-violent resistance to Dr. Ambedkar's social reform, India's citizens are the custodians of one of the world's richest tapestries of thought. These roots are not relics. They are living traditions that inform how Indians see themselves and their future. Religion plays a key role, but not in a narrow or divisive sense. In India, spirituality is a force of unity, whether expressed through Diwali, Eid, Christmas, Bihu or Pongal. These festivals bring communities together, not just in celebration, but in shared cultural expression. Even language, often seen as a barrier, becomes a unifying feature in India. While people speak different tongues, most Indians are multilingual, and there is a cultural understanding and respect that crosses these boundaries. India's arts, music, dance, literature and cinema further connect its people. Bollywood is watched not just in Mumbai but in Manipur. Tamil songs play in Delhi. Assamese poetry is read in Kerala. These cultural bridges reinforce emotional unity among India's people. The belief in a better tomorrow, the most powerful force behind India's rise, is the belief its people have in the future. For many countries, economic or political growth is often top-down, directed by elites or institutions. In India, the momentum comes from the ground up, driven by the dreams and ambitions of ordinary people. Walk into any classroom in a rural school, and you'll find children studying with aspirations of becoming doctors, engineers, teachers, or public servants. Visit a slum in Mumbai or Delhi, and you'll meet migrant workers sending their children to English medium schools, determined to break the cycle of poverty. Go to a farming village and you'll find youth using smartphones to track market prices, access weather updates, or learn about organic farming. This is a nation where the future is not feared. It is pursued. The youth of India, which forms more than 65% of the population, is not content with surviving. They want to thrive, and they're willing to work hard for it. With access to technology, education, and increasing global exposure, they are reshaping India's trajectory in ways that no previous generation could. This optimism is not limited to the urban elite. It is deeply embedded in rural India, small towns, tribal regions, and marginalised communities. It's the rickshaw driver who learns English to guide foreign tourists. It's the homemaker who starts an online sari business. It's the transgender activist who runs for public office. These are not outliers. They are the new face of India. Shared struggles, shared dreams, while India's diversity is its strength. Its collective struggle and hope bind its people even tighter. The journey of post-independence India has not been easy. The nation has faced wars, famines, terrorism, corruption, and communal violence. It has weathered economic crises and global skepticism. But at every turn, the Indian people have refused to give in. When India became a republic in 1950, many doubted whether a democracy of such scale and diversity could survive. Today, India is not just surviving, it is thriving as the world's largest democracy, thanks to the participation and vigilance of its people. India's electoral process, with hundreds of millions casting votes peacefully and passionately, is a celebration of democratic unity. People stand in long queues, regardless of caste, religion, gender or region, driven by one belief, that their vote matters and their voice counts. It is this belief in the collective power of the people that keeps Indian democracy alive and evolving. It's not perfect, but it is real, and it's made strong by the same 1.4 billion citizens who fight, work, vote and dream with their country in mind. A nation on the move, driven by its people today. India's global standing, whether as a spacefaring nation, a diplomatic powerhouse or an innovation hub, is not the result of a single leader or policy. It is the result of millions of acts of effort and courage by ordinary Indians. When Israel lands a rover on the moon, it is the culmination of years of work by engineers, scientists, coders, administrators, and cleaners who all believed in the mission. When India hosts global leaders at a summit, it's the result of meticulous planning by diplomats, chefs, drivers, and translators. Every small act contributes to a greater purpose. And perhaps most importantly, there is a widespread emotional investment in the nation's progress. Whether it's a cricket victory or a Nobel Prize, an Olympic medal or a clean village drive, Indians everywhere celebrate these moments as their own. This deep-rooted connection to national pride is what gives India its resilience and momentum. Conclusion: the collective strength of a billion dreams. India's greatest strength is not its economy, its army, or its technology. It is its people, 1.4 billion strong, diverse yet united, rooted yet forward-looking. They believe not only in their nation but in each other. They understand that India's destiny lies in shared success, not isolated triumph. This belief, this unity of purpose and identity, is what turns challenges into opportunities and dreams into achievements. So, when the world looks at India today, it should not just see a country of immense potential. It should see a country powered by the unstoppable belief of its people. Because behind every Indian success story is not just a policy or plan, but a person, a family, a community. Behind the statistics is a heartbeat. And behind that heartbeat is the unshakable, unified pulse of 1.4 billion people moving forward, together. India, from endurance to dominance, a nation forged by fire. India's journey through history has been anything but easy. A land of immense diversity and complexity, India has faced waves of external invasions, colonial exploitation, internal divisions, and modern geopolitical challenges. It has endured criticism from within and outside, skepticism from global observers, and conflicts, military, ideological, social, that could have broken lesser nations. But India did not break. Instead, every setback became a spark, fuel for a greater national fire that has propelled it from survival to dominance. Today, India is not just finding its place in the world, it is shaping it. And that transformation is not accidental. It is the result of a long, difficult, but ultimately triumphant process. Criticism as catalyst. Since independence in 1947, India has been on the receiving end of global skepticism and criticism. At the time of partition, many Western political thinkers predicted that India, deeply diverse, recently liberated, and economically underdeveloped, would not survive as a democracy. Some even predicted a military coup or a breakup within decades. Criticism came in waves. India was told its economy was too slow, its democracy too chaotic, its institutions too weak. It was mocked for its red tape, poverty, caste system, and bureaucratic inefficiency. Western media and policymakers frequently dismissed India as a developing nation stuck in perpetual underperformance. But India did not respond with anger. It responded with action. The criticisms were not always unfounded, but India used them not as excuses to retreat, but as reasons to reform. From liberalising its economy in 1991, to investing in higher education, to building world-class space and nuclear programs, India learned from criticism and used it to improve, to push forward, to evolve. Criticism didn't diminish India, it sharpened India. Skepticism as motivation. The world doubted India at every major juncture. Skeptics questioned whether it could hold together a population of over 1 billion under one constitution, modernise without losing its soul, compete in high technology, space and defence with limited resources, become an economic powerhouse while still grappling with inequality and rural poverty. Time and again, India proved the skeptics wrong. India is now the world's largest democracy, not in name but in real functioning terms. Its elections are a spectacle of scale, inclusion and integrity. Its Supreme Court is active, its civil society vibrant. And despite internal challenges, the Indian people have shown a fierce commitment to democratic values. Skeptics also doubted India's tech capabilities. But today, India leads in software, innovation and digital finance. With homegrown platforms like Aadhaar, OPay and CoWin, India has created models the rest of the world is now studying and adopting. The Digital India vision was once mocked,